Please keep going.
One of the steepest hills in Adelaide. The acceleration. Woo! What's up, guys? We're here in that reservoir area. I don't know if you recognize it from where I'm standing, but you've seen me ride along that gravel path there. And it's like a big gravel circuit. It goes all the way. Oh, it's actually not quite a circuit. It loops around there, just at the end, and goes back just at the top of that hill, and then all the way up there. So it's kind of like, this is kind of a circuit, if you want to call it that. But then it goes up there, and the bike path starts, like the bike trail. We've only got a couple of bike trails in Adelaide. Maybe, or like one main one really, and it branches off in like a couple of directions, but it's not much. And here's the new tyre. That's the new tyre, guys. I've done, I don't know how many kilometers, but I did that log not long ago where I marked how many kilometers I'm at when I put this tyre on. It wasn't right on at the right time. It was like 100 kilometers late. So I'm just going to add 100 kilometers and I'll know how many Ks I've done on this tyre. It's looking all right. I've just been riding on the gravel though. Like to get here to where I'm like standing right now, I had to ride down that all the way from up there, all on gravel. So that's why it looks so like, you know, it doesn't look quite new anymore. All dusty, that's the word. All right, so we got a couple of things to talk about in this one. I got 2 things in mind, maybe more, but we'll start with those 2. One thing is related to safety, and it's about falling under the bus. Most people don't realize what it's like to get run over by a bus, but the best way to explain it would be, think about how it would look if you ran over a bug with your bicycle or your EUC. Actually, no, don't worry about the EUC. That crushes stuff so bad. Just a simple bicycle. Imagine what that would do to a bug, and then you've got a good picture of what a bus would do if it runs over you. Any part of you, even your foot. If it ran over your foot, it would crush it like a pancake. You'd have no foot left. You'd have a piece of, like, you'd have a flap, and that would be it. You'd lose your foot for life. Anything that goes under that wheel is just exterminated instantly, you know? Like, I've seen videos, guys, multiple videos where someone gets run over by a bus or a truck, you know, those like 18-wheelers, especially when they're loaded. I mean, they weigh tremendous amounts. Where someone gets run over, usually like a motorcyclist, they have an accident, they go under the bus or the truck, and they get run over, even with their helmet on. They go under the wheel and the bus just crushes everything so bad that their brain gets, I don't know actually if this guy had his helmet on, where his brain shot out like a cannon, literally. I think, yeah, this guy didn't have a helmet on. That wouldn't make sense, would it? But you could see it clearly in the video, the brain go flying across the road. It looked bizarre, because when I first saw it, I was like, what the hell is that? You know, like what's that thing flying across, leaving a stain on the road as it like bounces? It was his brain. Came out all in one piece. Can you imagine that? And obviously he's dead instantly. No chance of survival. I mean, your brain goes flying out like it got shot out of a cannon. Imagine the feeling in that moment. I mean, would you feel anything? Where would you be in that moment? Would you be where your brain is? Or would you be in your body still? That's a good question, isn't it? Philosophical. It's a deep question, actually. And in the future, maybe soon, I'm going to talk about some interesting stuff that relates to that. But I say you're... I don't know, actually. Where would you be? Maybe half-half? You're still in your brain. Where your thoughts reside, actually, it doesn't really matter where your brain is it? Thoughts are just thoughts. Like, if all you have is thoughts in that moment, then it doesn't matter where you are. It makes no difference. But if you're perceiving through your five senses, then it matters where your body is. So that's interesting, isn't it? But my point, I kind of like went off on a tangent. My point in saying this is be extremely careful around buses when you're on your EUC, especially if you're a beginner. I mean, especially, like, it's just absurd to take any kind of risk next to a bus when you're in, like, just think about it. If you're in traffic but no one's really moving, you know, like everyone's stopped at the lights and you're just kind of like sneaking through the gaps, and then you get to a bus, that's where you want to be careful, because you don't know when that bus is going to take off, for one thing. And if you fall under that wheel, especially if it's rolling, like if you're in slow moving traffic, let's say, if that bus is going even just 3 miles an hour, anything, and then you have some kind of a slip up, just some lapse in concentration, and you have a tiny accident, you know, something that normally wouldn't mean anything. Normally you just step off your wheel and then that'd be it. You get back on it. Well, if you step off your wheel onto the path of a bus, let's say you just, even your foot, like I said, you might step off your wheel and your foot might just, because you're not in control in that moment, you might place your foot right in front of that wheel, guys. I mean, you don't think about it, but it can happen so easily that you got to be careful. You got to be extra careful. And that's my point. Around buses, you got to be extra careful. If you're a beginner, if you're like experienced, then I guess it's a lower risk, but you might still have a cutout. You never know. Your EUC might fail in the exact moment where you're going to end up under the bus. Even a slow moving bus going 1 mile an hour, half a mile an hour. If it rolls on top of you, it's going to crush you like a bug. It's amazing what it does to the human body. Like I said, it could shoot your brain out like a cannon. It could shoot your heart out like a cannon. Like, it just depends where it runs over you. If it goes over your chest, it's crazy what it does. Like, I've seen, when I've seen people get their legs run over, their legs are just flaps. Like, it's so mind-blowing to see that. Like that instant transformation where 1 minute they're fine and the next minute they're completely deformed. I mean, not minute, it's like 1 second, like less. And I saw one video where it was a father grieving over the body of his son that had just got run over by a truck, and he was riding a scooter. And his son was just like a cartoon, squashed like a pancake on the road. And the father was like, oh my God, is that my son? Like, it was, like, I felt that, you know, watching that video. I was like, damn, imagine that. Transformed into a pancake. Like, it's crazy. Crazy. Like a cartoon. And until you've seen that kind of footage, you don't respect what these heavy vehicles on the road can do if they run you over. And that's, and just like, before I move on to the next point, because I said there's 2 things to talk about. The thing, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the thing about it is going under the wheels though. Like, if you just get hit by the front of a truck or a bus, it's not much worse than getting hit by a car. It could even be better, because of, like, especially if it's a bus and it's got that flat front. Well, that's you know, it can be better because you might just fall in a manner like that where you got more control of yourself. If you get hit by a car, it tends to take out your legs from underneath and you go somersaulting in the air, and then anything can happen. Like, you could hit your head on the road so hard it would just explode your cranium. You know, because you're flipping like that. You know, you're doing these rapid somersaults and you could just land bang, like head first with all that twisting velocity. And yeah, so what I'm saying is getting hit by the bus isn't the problem. It's going under the wheels at any speed. So yeah, that's that. And now the next topic. What is the next topic? And I forgot. But before I remember what that is, or before I try to remember, I'm just gonna say, after we talk about the next topic, I'm gonna go for a ride all the way around the circuit on the new tire, guys. And I did it on the bold tire before I changed the tire. I did it on the bold tire and it felt pretty decent. Like, I didn't go too hard with the carving because I could kind of feel the lack of grip, but it was still fine. Like, even with that super ultra bold tire, I felt bold out here, guys. It was a bold moment. But now with this new tire, I'm going to be able to rip it harder. You know, I'll have more confidence. Dude, I don't know, what I should have done before changing that tire, I should have practiced those drifts with the bold tire and then compared it with this tire, and I forgot to do that. I didn't do it. But, oh well. Next topic is, what is the next topic? Man, I gotta remember. Oh yeah, that's right. Something about the power of this wheel is really strange to me, because, well, one thing I just want to mention quickly is that when I rode my scooter for several days, oh what, there's a car. I've never seen a car drive down here. Didn't even know it could fit. But yeah, when I rode my scooter for several days, you know, the red scooter, it's got a top speed of like 110 kilometers an hour. And I kind of zipped around on that thing pretty hard. And then when I got back on this thing, I was like, dude, this feels slow. Like, even at top speed, like 50 k's an hour, 30 miles an hour. And it says, please decelerate. And then I was thinking, are you serious? Is this the top? Is this 50? I felt like I was going a lot slower because I'd been cruising on that scooter so fast all the time. And it was weird, like, it only lasted a bit though, and then I got the, you know, the old feeling back where it's like, yeah, this is fast, this is pretty fast. And then after that, and the reason that happened is because I didn't ride my wheel for several days in a row. And normally I never do that. I always at least do one trip, because I always got to, like, at least go to the shop to pick something up, you know? So every single day I would have a ride. But just recently, since I bought that red scooter, I would go several days without riding any wheel, any EUC. I think 3 or 4, maybe 3 days I went. And then when I got back on it, I was like, damn, this feels slow. 50 k's an hour, 30 miles an hour, feels really slow. So I was like, what the hell's going on? But then, when I got the old feeling back, I was like, dude, this feels really good. Like, the scooter is nothing like the wheel, right? And also, like, when I put this new tire on, for example, it felt really strange, guys. Really strange. I felt like a beginner again. And I was like depressed that it was, you know, my wheel is gone. I felt like, dude, I've lost my wheel. Like, I'm riding this thing, it doesn't even feel like anything I've ridden before. Just because I put the new tire on. I went from an ultra bold tire to a brand new tire, and it just felt wrong. And I was thinking, dude, that would never happen on any other vehicle. Like, if, you know, on your scooter or motorbike or your car, if you change the tires, if you go from bold to brand new tires on any of those vehicles, you're never going to be like, dude, I can't ride this thing anymore. No one would be like that. But on an EUC it was, and it just goes to show, it just tells me just how much more involved we are in the process of keeping this thing going, you know, just keeping it afloat. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? It blows my mind how new it felt. Like I was a beginner, literally. I was dipping to one side without wanting to turn. I was like wanting to just keep it straight, and it would dip hard as well, hard enough where I was like, dude, this is a concern, you know, it's a safety concern. Because normally, like, I'll often be on very tight spaces and like real close to the curb, going fast, because I got so much confidence that this thing will do exactly what I want it to do. But then when I felt that, those dips, guys, man, it just changes everything. It kind of wakes you up. It's like, dude, I'm riding this fucking box with a wheel in it, and that's it, you know. It's got a little motherboard, and that's it. You're on your own, and no other vehicle is like that, guys. But yeah, again, I went on a tangent there. My point is I'm going to talk about the power of this thing, and it's something strange. Is that I have often been thinking, because you know, when on this thing, it's the KS16X. When you hit the limit of the power, like when you lean forward too much, you overlean, you're hitting that limit. First it will say, caution, overpowered. And then the next level is these crazy beeps, like really, sorry. Just had a little burp coming up. Really intense beeps that will like, you know, it will wake you right up and say, yeah, you gotta back off. And what the hell? Oh, I just noticed this cavity. I've never noticed that, but that's because my mud guard got ripped out. Just noticed that for the first time. But anyway, it beeps to say overpowered, right? And every time it does that, when I'm on any kind of normal road, like not, you know, ultra steep or anything, just kind of flat road, I think to myself, damn, this thing is kind of weak. I don't even have power pads, as you know. No power pads. All my power comes from my ankles, you know, just leaning on my ankles, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you do, but just to explain that properly, when you accelerate on an EUC, you do it by applying torque on the wheel in this direction, like in the direction you want to go, basically. I mean, torque is angular, but it's like the direction the wheel is going to spin, if that makes sense. So you apply torque on the wheel with your body. If you've got power pads, you've got much more leverage. You know, leverage, torque, it's all related. The more leverage you've got, the more torque you can apply for any given force. And you've got a lot more leverage if you've got power pads. So that's my point. Without power pads, you don't have much leverage. You just got your ankles, basically. And I can still hit those beeps of the power limit on this thing very easily on a flat road, where I think to myself, damn, this thing is kind of weak. So if I had power pads, I would be hitting that limit like so easily. You know, and it still accelerates hard, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't feel like I'm trying that hard. I feel like, dude, I could easily overpower this thing. And I don't weigh much either. So then again, it makes it even more bizarre. But when you're going up a super steep hill, just on the way here, in fact, and I took footage of it too. On the way here, there is one of the steepest roads in the whole city, in this whole city. It's extremely steep, so steep that even cars go slow up there. And cyclists, the majority of cyclists can't even ride up there. Like, they'll get off their bike and walk. Even walking is a struggle, especially if you're dragging a bike up there. Even the elite cyclists, they might ride up there, but they'd be going like walking speed. And yeah, so it's super, super steep. But this King song here, eats it up like nothing. And the interesting thing is, when I lean up that hill, because I can, I can do the calculation and think, yeah, well, I'm going to easily overpower this thing up this super steep hill. I can overpower it on a flat. So imagine up this thing. It's going to struggle. But I've never hit, not even the beeps, not even the caution overpowered, not even that one. Up that super steep hill, and it guns it up there like a rocket. I mean, it can just do like top speed, like 50 k's an hour up this freaking insane hill. How weird is that? So when I like experience that, I'm like, damn, this thing has got a lot of power, like boatloads of power. But when I'm on a flat and I hear those beeps, I'm thinking, what's going on here? And it makes me think that something is wrong with the way they've set this thing up. Like, it's got more power than it makes itself out to have, They say 2200 watt nominal, but what's the max? It could be anything, like around at least 5,000 watts. But it could be up to, like, who knows? But up that hill, it just smashes up there. And the weird thing is, and guys, you might be wondering, why have you never hit the beeps up that hill? Like, the reason is I'm limiting it myself. Because the way I'm leaning up that hill, I'm accelerating so damn hard. Like, it's not even a hill. Like, I'm going down a hill. That's how hard I'm going up this thing. That I'm thinking, dude, I do not want to push this any harder. Like, how can this even be doing this? I'm not even confident in this level of power coming out of this thing, right? Damn it, that didn't work. Come on, this is a joke. This is a freaking joke. Alright, yeah, so coming out of this thing, god damn it. This thing. What I'm saying is I don't have the confidence, oops, that was a bit hard, that this little thing can smash up a hill like that at that rate of acceleration. It's just bizarre. And because you can start from a standstill and it'll still gun it to top speed in no time. So I'm limiting it myself. Like, in my mind, I'm just thinking, dude, I don't want to push it any harder. And at that point, I haven't hit any beeps and I haven't hit any warnings, nothing, which is super bizarre. And it happens every time. Just now, it kind of hit me that, damn, that is weird. So that's why I filmed it when I was going up there. And I thought I'll talk about it. It's crazy. The power in this thing is nuts. It's got no gears. So there's no torque multiplication. When you're down size in gear, when you go down gears, right? Gear down, that's the term. When you gear down, you increase your torque, and vice versa. Gear up, you decrease your torque, increase your speed. So when you gear down, you basically reduce the angular velocity, but you've increased the torque. So let's say you geared it down to half. So every 2 rotations of the motor yields 1 rotation of the wheel. You'd double your torque, and you'd halve your speed. Clearly, because it's 2 for 1 rotations. And we don't have that on EUCs. We got no gearing whatsoever. Yet they can just own these hills. And when you look at skateboards, which I find interesting, electric skateboards, like the top end, the powerful ones, that they claim to have like 3,000 watts per motor. They got 2 motors in the back. And from what I've tried, they're gutless. They cannot go up a hill like that, like this thing can. Nah. Not even close. It's kind of weird too, because they do have gears. They have gearing. All of those skateboards that you see, they're geared down like at a 7-to-1 ratio or something, I think. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. No, maybe like 3-to-1, 4-to-1, who knows? Whatever they are, they've got gears. They definitely have gears. Because the ones with the motor on the back, they have usually a belt drive and you've always got like a big cog on the motor, sorry, a small cog on the motor and a bigger cog on the wheel. So that means it's gearing down. And so they can have more torque. They've got torque multiplication. So not only do they have two motors, each claim to be 3,000 watts, whereas this thing claims to be 2,200 watts, 2.2 kilowatts, whereas they claim to have 3 kilowatts per motor. So it's 6 in total with the gearing, yet they can't, I mean, they don't even come close to what this thing can do up a hill. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. This thing just smashes hills, like, and it's weird that it lets me down on the flats, isn't it? After having said all that, when I'm on a flat, then I'm thinking, dude, this thing is lacking power. But it's not that it's lacking power, it's that it's complaining early, I guess. It's like, it's, you know, it's saying caution, overpowered. Beep, 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 beep. You know, the beeps. And you're not even leaning that, I mean, you're leaning hard, but not, you just feel like it could do more, a lot more. It's because I don't have power pads for one. And I'm on a flat. And I bet I'm right. I bet it can do a lot more. I bet it's just super restricted by the software. Because they want to make it ultra safe, I guess. It's same thing with the top speed, guys. The top speed of 50 k's an hour, 31 miles an hour. It could do way more. Way more. I'm thinking at least 60 k's an hour. And most probably close to 70, like the V12. But it wouldn't be safe probably at, I reckon at 60 it would be safe. But, you know, getting close to 70, then it probably depends on your weight a lot. And whether you're going up a hill and the wind. So then, you know, things could come into play that could put you in the danger zone. You know, you might be safe and then suddenly you get a gust of wind and you're in the danger zone. So you don't want to play it that close to the limit. But 60, I would say all day long. This thing has no problem. Like I said, up the steepest hill in the whole city, it can accelerate to top speed like it's nothing. Just bang, top speed up this freaking hill that's like vertical almost. Not vertical, but I don't know how many degrees, guys, but it's damn steep. Even walking up that thing is... Many people couldn't. And yeah, I lost my train of thought just then. Oh, we'll end it there, guys. Peace.